Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the Online Series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we featured a really fun team featuring Zekrom and Comfy, so we'll be playing a couple more games with it today. I quickly want to address some of the mistakes I made in yesterday's episode in terms of mechanics. One thing that I constantly was not really taking into account was Comfy's priority with the Draining Kiss, specifically the +3 priority, and there were a couple scenarios where I was up against like a Fake Out user and I was worried about Fake Out when I really didn't need to be, and also had the opportunity to just activate Weakness Policy even when there was redirection on the field. So the main thing to note is that Comfy is +3 priority with its ability. A lot of Fake Out users are in the format, obviously, and Fake Out is also +3 priority, but most Fake Out users are actually slower than Comfy. Pokemon like Incineroar and Grimmsnarl, for example. Rillaboom, if they're not running much speed investment, also will be slower than Comfy, so that means you'll be able to get that Draining Kiss off before Fake Out actually goes off. Similarly, with Redirection, you have higher priority than Redirection, so you can actually redirect that Draining Kiss away. I think in Game 1 yesterday, though, you know, both of those mechanics came up because I was worried about Follow Me from Togekiss and then a Fake Out from Incineroar, and obviously I didn't need to be worried about either of those. So, yeah, definitely was not super sharp on that yesterday. Apologize about that, but hopefully we'll be a little bit better today. But yeah, I think, you know, the good thing is that in yesterday's episode, we actually managed to win all of the games despite making some of those mechanical mistakes, and that really speaks to the strength of the team. As I always say, you don't need to play perfectly to win in Pokemon. You know, you just often have to play better than your opponent. And Pokemon is a game where you can potentially make mistakes. It's just, you know, you have to go toe-to-toe with your opponent. That being said, you also don't want to just say, hey, I won the game, I don't need to worry about whatever I did, you know, why bother, like, whatever I did ended up in a winning result, because the reality is that you can always improve your play, and it's always good to, like, look back on the tape, see what you could have done, and try to, make your play a little bit sharper. And so even though, you know, we won those games yesterday, it's actually really critical to be able to point out, hey, there were a couple things I missed, and now knowing these things, you know, I could have even snowballed the games faster, for example. So I think it's always good to just look over your games, whether it's a win or a loss, and try to point out every single thing that you could have done better. Mechanics are obviously a, you know, component to Pokemon, and making sure that you're sharp on those things are definitely crucial. So yeah. Before we get started, today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. They are a super awesome apparel company making all kinds of different clothes ranging from t-shirts to hoodies to joggers, and my favorite line of clothes from them is definitely their line of graphic tees. You may have seen me wear some of their graphic tees on the channel before. I think I have about 6 or so from them at this point, and I've linked my favorite ones from them down in the description below. They're currently doing a bundle sale. You can get 3 graphic tees for $60 and an additional 10% off your next order if you use my affiliate link. That's intotheam.com/cybervgc. If you go to that link, you'll get 10% applied off for your next order immediately. So you all know, as I always say, I don't take many sponsorships on this channel, and Into the AM continues to be one of those companies that I really believe in. I really love their products, and they've been nothing but a pleasure to work with. So thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring today's videos, and you can find some of my favorite products from them down in the description below. Okay, looking for our first game of the day. Once again, thank you to you all as always for watching Road to Rank. If you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. And no official question of the day today, but I want to know what your favorite non-Pokemon Nintendo franchise is down in the comments section below. I think, you know, Mario, Zelda definitely are up there for me, although I actually haven't really played through, like, all of the games. In fact, more of the Mario games I played were, like, Paper Mario, especially, like, the GameCube version. That's probably just one of my favorite games of all time. And then the Star Fox GameCube game was also one of my favorite games of all time. So, yeah, a lot of nostalgia for the GameCube era, which is kind of what I grew up with. But curious on everyone's answers down in the comment section below. Looking for our first game today, I really hope we can bring out the Thundurus plus the Urshifu, because it's a really cool combination that we didn't get to really use as much yesterday because we didn't go up against any, like, Groudon teams specifically. Groudon's one of the top restricted picks in Series 8, so hoping we get to match up against at least one of those throughout the course of today's episode. But let's get into things. Not Groudon here, it's going to just be classic Lapras Zacian. I don't know if this is just Fevzi's Lapras Zacian team from the beginning of the season. Reminds me of it. Definitely the same Pokemon, I think. Okay. So, a couple things to note here. You can't redirect the Draining Kiss away from Comfy, so I can just go Comfy plus Zekrom, which helps against Incin plus Amoonguss, but my opponent has that Landorus, which is definitely a concern. I just think if you're my opponent, what do you lead here? Landorus plus Zacian seems really strong, and if I led Comfy plus Zekrom, that is not a good lead matchup for us. So part of me is like, maybe I want to go with the Trick Room route. Incin plus Comfy, Zekrom plus Urshifu. This is a little bit more passive, but I can pressure with Fake Out and Trick Room turn 1, which I like, I think. Amoonguss is what makes this tricky from my opponent's end, though. So, if I'm my opponent, what am I bringing? I'm bringing Zacian, I'm bringing Amoonguss, I'm bringing Landorus, and then it's Incin or Lapras, but if you're going to Dynamax the Landorus, then it makes more sense to bring in Incin. So then the question is, what do you lead with? What am I most worried about? Like, on paper, I was most worried about Landorus Zacian, because that's probably the most direct counter into Comfy plus Zekrom. Although, maybe not really, because, like, I could just switch out the Comfy into Incin, max Zekrom. If you max Quake, you activate my policy, I can max Quake your Zacian return for a one-shot. It's not actually a terrible trade-off. But they're going to go with Lapras plus Amoonguss, okay? Well, Comfy plus Zekrom would have been pretty good here. But the thing is, I really want to eliminate the Amoonguss if I can. The thing is, if I went with Comfy Zekrom, I could have just gone Draining Kiss Max Lightning into Lapras. It forces a Rage Powder, and it would have been pretty good for us. So, not amazing, but not terrible either. I think it's fair to respect the Landorus Zacian stuff. So they are going to go with Lapras, though. I have Snarl. I don't want to set up Trick Room here. Yeah, I definitely don't want to set up Trick Room. We really need to get the Zekrom in. If I'm my opponent, what am I going for? Resonance onto Comfy? That honestly makes a lot of sense. And, I guess you could just Spore into Incin. Ugh, that's not great. I'm going for Flare Blitz Protect here because I really need to get a free switch into Zekrom in this moment. But I'm just kind of surprised because I don't know, Comfy Zekrom, I feel like is the most apparent lead that I could have brought. And it would have done pretty well into my opponent's lead. But they might have just one-upped me and said, hey, I don't think you're going to lead Comfy Zekrom because I have the Landorus. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think Landorus is probably in the back because it gives them a free switch into Max Lightning. So my best bet is it's Amoonguss, Lapras, Landorus plus Zacian. So, let's see. We're going to get the Protect off with Comfy. I just don't want to get Sport on that slot. That's a good Protect on the Amoonguss. I could have gone Parting Shot into Lapras, but I really didn't want to get Sport into that slot. It is going to be Resonance here into Comfy. Okay, I mean, the good thing is they're going to spend a couple turns of their Dynamax to not actually pick up a KO. The bad thing is I'm probably going to eat up a Spore on this turn. I guess you could just Geyser into Incin now. I guess I really should just lead Zekrom immediately into Amoonguss setups. Parting Shot onto Lapras there would have been so good for us, because then we go into Zekrom, we just Draining Kiss, Max Lightning, and things are looking really solid. They're not Life Orb, which is good to know. I don't want a Parting Shot, to be honest, in case I survive and they Spore that slot, so I guess I'll just Snarl and Draining Kiss, but this is not a great position to be in. It's so passive. I'm going to stall out my opponent's Dynamax relatively easily. The question, though, is do I have enough damage up, and now that they have screens up and they still have Amoonguss on the field? Because this Amoonguss is definitely a pain to deal with. Also, one thing to notice, if you don't know about this team, you might be hesitant in actually bringing that Landorus because of the fact that there is a Thundurus on team preview here, right? Okay, yep, they're going to go for Geyser this time around. It's a good Protect on Amoonguss turn 1. It's just frustrating I could have Parting Shotted there. Ooh, we actually hang on with 2. Okay, that's kind of nice. Especially if my opponent ended up Sporing that slot too, which I'm hoping they did. Either way, getting a Snarl off against both of these is pretty valuable. The only downside is that my Incin just really didn't do as much as I needed it to do. It's really good into this matchup, into Landorus plus Zacian, but okay, they did Spore into Incin. That's actually really good for us that we survived. Yeah, because I'm just going to Protect Incin here. I have to worry about losing a Perish Song in this game, by the way, so that's one thing to watch out for. Because if my opponent just picks up another KO after Incin feints, they just Perish Song with Lapras and insta-win the game. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. Or at least pick up a knockout, make it hard for them to actually have a Perish Song endgame. It's just because you have more Pokemon doesn't necessarily mean you'll win with Perish Song, guaranteed. You still need to be able to cycle through and make sure you survive in those 3 turns through a combination of Protects and Switches, for example. So I definitely got outled here in the end of the day. Comfy plus Zekrom would have been really nice here because I could have always just gone for Draining Kiss, Max Lightning into the Amoonguss slot that sets up Electric Terrain so you can't Spore me. But I really didn't want to lead Comfy plus Zekrom into some of their, like Landorus Zacian, for example. Okay, and they actually geyser into Instant, which is nice. I was worried about them targeting Comfy and denying me a free switch in right now, but I will actually get that free switch in, which is actually kind of a big deal here. Okay, and Spore goes on to Comfy. I guess my only fear now is whether or not +2 max Wormwind can KO the Amoonguss. So we'll bring out Zacian, or sorry, we'll bring out Zekrom. I'm worried about their Zacian. They could so easily protect here as well with the Amoonguss. They really should. Man, I could make an aggressive read here. They could switch Amoonguss out also into Zacian right now, protect Lapras. Like, they have a lot of plays they can make right now, which is the scary thing. I just think there's Zacian plus Landorus in the back. And I don't know what the proper read is here. I'm going for a Wormwind, but if Amoonguss switches out into Zacian, it's a disaster. Okay, they're staying in, though. That's good. That's the tricky thing. I think Zacian plus Landorus is a tough core to break through here, because you can switch into either. And so, for example, if you switch into Landorus, Max Lightning does nothing. If I Wormwind, that does nothing to Zacian, and then Quake does nothing to Landorus. So, it's one of the reasons why this team has, like, Urshifu, right? With Scarf Surging Strikes. Okay, they protect. It might just be a double protect here, but if Amoonguss doesn't protect, we're actually just instantly back in this. Okay, nice, it doesn't. Now the question is, are you physical or specially invested? Because if we one-shot Amoonguss, this is definitely back in, not immediately back in our favor, but it's definitely winnable again. After what was a really tough lead matchup, I think. So let's see, +2 max Wormwind. Oh, it's not enough. Okay, that will probably be game. I guess I could have just Lightning to set up Terrain there to play it safe. Wait, did they Spore into Comfy? Ooh, okay. Well, that changes things. That definitely gives us a shot. Okay, I think I'm gonna Lightning here into Lapras now. And I'm actually just gonna hard switch into Urshifu because I want to put on offensive pressure with Urshifu right now. Whereas Comfy, burning sleep turns doesn't make much sense in the context of this game. Yeah, so Amoonguss pretty bulky there in the end. I don't know. I was thinking if you don't have any special defense investment, like if you're bold, HP, max defense, be one shot. But it looks like it actually is pretty specially invested, which is not good for us. Okay, so we'll switch Comfy out. Scarf Urshifu pretty good to have out right now. By setting up that max Lightning, you know, I can't, you can't Spore me anymore. They don't switch out, which is also really good, or go for a Rage Powder. So we'll get the max Lightning off and we'll one-shot Lapras. That's actually really nice because it takes away that Perish Song endgame scenario that they can have, but they still have a lot of offense in the back, which is what's really scaring me here. But I think if Spore went into Zekrom that last turn, the game was definitely over. But the fact that it targeted... Oh, it's clear Smog, too. Oh, that's our worst nightmare. Nicely done. That will probably win them the game. Well, it actually depends. I mean, who do you bring out here right now? Because we still have Zacian with Surging Strikes in the rain. But that was a really, really good clear Smog. I guess I could have covered for that option and targeted Amoonguss instead. I honestly expected it to protect in that scenario. And clear Smog was the one move that makes Amoonguss relevant there. If it's anything else, like, it's completely useless, basically. Interesting, though. They bring in Incineroar. Okay. So they don't have Landorus, which means Scarf Urshifu can be very critical in this endgame. Now, if you're my opponent, what do? You go for Fake Out here onto Urshifu, presumably. So Amoonguss is really useless. I could see Amoonguss switching out into Zacian. So the question, the awkward thing here is, do I target that slot? Because I could max Quake into the Amoonguss, and if it goes into Zacian, that's huge. But you might just sacrifice your Amoonguss right now. It makes a lot of sense to just Rage Powder, no? I'm gonna double up Oh man, I wanted Surging Strikes there, not Close Combat. Okay, but they did go for Fake Out, so that's fine. Amoonguss didn't Rage Powder though, so that's actually good. That's what I wanted. Because I think we have a pretty good chance to win if we can force this to be a 2v1 kind of game. So what I like intentionally didn't want to knock out Amoonguss there, because if I do, and the the Zacian comes in, it's kind of awkward. And oh, they forget about the electric terrain. Okay, nice. That was a really big Clear Smog though. I think without Clear Smog, this would definitely... Well, I guess we wouldn't have one-shot the Incin anyway. Looks like it was bulky enough to take it, so yeah. Okay. Well, we have crit Surging Strikes right now. They still have 2 turns of Aurora Veil. We have Rising Voltage. And Incin's grounded. Yeah, one thing to note about Rising Voltage, by the way, is that it's calculated based off whether or not the Pokemon's grounded. The Pokemon you're targeting is grounded. I could Voltage plus Surging Strikes into... Can I just pick up a double KO here? Does Rising Voltage KO Incin? I wouldn't think so, right? Alright, I'll double up onto Incin because I think Incin's not going to have Protect in this scenario, plus Amoonguss is completely useless right now. Either way, this was a really fun game. I thought my opponent played really, really nicely. Okay, they Protect Amoonguss. I don't know, maybe I could have picked up a double KO there then. I think this endgame still favors my opponent just because of how strong Zacian is. But if Rising Voltage one-shot Incin from that range, then we could have just picked up a double KO and that would have won us the game, I think. Yeah. The question here is also, what is your Zacian set? There's only 1 turn of Aurora Veil left. Surging Strikes, I think, KOs Amoonguss with the triple crit. Zacian comes in, and then the question is, do you target Zekrom? Can you one-shot Zekrom as well? Do you have Play Rough? Because without Play Rough, Zekrom can actually resist Steel and the Steel type attack, right? Okay, so I think we have to go for the knockout onto Amoonguss here. Just double check all my stats. +1 Spadef, -1 attack, that's irrelevant. Attack drop on Urshifu is also irrelevant, so I think we'll just go for Rising Voltage. And Surging Strikes out into Amoonguss. Because Amoonguss protected, right? It is good that they had Incin over Landorus in the back, because that meant they had less offense. But I'm kind of surprised they brought Incin out first over Zacian, but I suppose they wanted to just, you know, get that Intimidate off, which makes a lot of sense. So, I don't know, if Rising Voltage actually one-shot Incin with screens being up, then I definitely should have targeted Incin. Like, I definitely could have just gone Surging Strikes Amoonguss, Rising Voltage Incin. Is there any reason not to go for that? I gotta think about that. Okay, they go for Rage Powder. I mean, we should KO with the Surging Strikes here, right? I would hope so. If not, then we actually definitely lose the game, but I think that's enough, yeah. Yeah, we get the KO. It's gonna be really close, I think. It's a 3-on-1 right now, but Zacian presumably will get a KO. It's gonna be Sacred Sword here onto Urshifu. Wait. Okay, well, we just win the game then. Wow, sick. Yeah, I guess that was their only option. And given how much Rising Voltage did to Zacian there, it would have been close, because Incin's bulkier than Zacian, so I don't think I would have KO'd the Incin. But yeah, this is perfect. Now, no more terrain, or sorry, no more, what do I want to say? Whoops. We got lucky the Fake Out went into Urshifu, but I don't think you ever not go for Fake Out onto Urshifu in that position. Because yeah, I meant to click Surging Strike super close combat. If I locked myself into close combat in this endgame, it actually would have been super doomed. And that's the upside of Water Urshifu, I guess, right? It does resist Steel type attacks, so you can't go for Behemoth Blade. And if you're not running Play Rough, then yeah, we, you know, actually just win in this endgame with both of these. So that was a really close game, because like I felt like my lead was really bad. I have to say, it was really critical Incin hung on with 2 HP from that Max Geyser, because if Incin faints there, we definitely lose the game. Or not lose the game, sorry, but we're in a really tough spot. Two big things in this one, right? Incin hung on with 2 HP, and then the Spore went into Comfy rather than Zekrom. Because if Zekrom gets Spored there, I definitely lose, but I was thinking my opponent might have been covering for a Zekrom Protect there. That being said, I think I misplayed that turn because I think it's just better to max Lightning there just to set up that terrain. Also, in the end, since Amoonguss actually fainted anyway, it definitely would have, or sorry, didn't faint to that +2 Wormwind. I don't know. I think I like +2 max Lightning onto Lapras more because it covers all my bases. Now Lapras protects there, but at least we get terrain up. You don't put Comfy to sleep. The tricky thing is that they had that Clear Smog as well, so you're a little fortunate in that game. Yeah, I feel like my opponent definitely brought better Pokemon and, like, had really good early game execution, whereas I didn't. The one thing they could have done was intentionally not knocking out my Incineroar so that the next turn you get a Spore off into Comfy. Because the only way we were getting back into this game is if Zekrom gets a +2 boost immediately. And I needed Incin to feint to get Zekrom in safely. And the problem is that I never had an opportunity to actually bring in Zekrom safely, because as soon as my opponent leads Lapras Amoonguss into my Incin plus Comfy, I'm in a really tough spot. So I led super hard to try to beat that Landorus. Didn't even end up coming out in the end, and part of it might be team preview mind games, right? You see your opponent having a Thundurus, you don't want to activate a Defiant. That makes a lot of sense. We know we don't have Defiant, but they don't know that. Dracozolt here is really interesting. It's probably Hustle rather than Sand Rush. I think Comfy Zekrom is totally fine here, honestly. Comfy Zekrom. I guess Zolt scares me here. I don't know if we outspeed Dracozolt if they're max speed. That actually could be a problem. T-Bolt's like cool here, but Late game surging. The problem here is Scarf Urshifu actually doesn't really outspeed anything because they'll have Tailwind or Regieleki. So I think we actually bring Clef out in this one. I might just bring Urshifu anyway as the last one. Well, Incin does offer me Fake Out against anything that's not Dynamaxed. But the thing is, if I go with Incin, I am putting all my eggs in the Zekrom basket, meaning I have no other reliable damage output. I don't know if I like that too much. Like, I think I need some other damage output. And since I'm not bringing Thundurus here, I think it has to be Urshifu. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, it's basically your standard Tornadus Kyogre team, but instead of Cortana or Metagross or a Steel type, in general, it's Dracozolt. So, yeah. I think this team is one of the best teams for comeback potential out of the teams we played in Series 8, though. Like, you know, you can often fall behind a decent amount, but Zekrom, if your opponent has, like, exhausted a lot of their resources, Zekrom can really sweep in the end game there. So, yeah, that's the other thing about Zacian. Like, Sub and Swords Dance are both really good moves, but, like, if my opponent had played rough there, I think they'd probably just win the game, because then you just one-shot Urshifu and then one-shot Zekrom. Well, I guess you win 81% of the time because you have to connect with both of the play roughs, but still. Okay, it's Amoonguss plus Zolt. I don't know if I like this. I mean, Zolt might just one-shot us. I don't know how fast Dracozolt is relative to us. That's my problem, because we're not max speed Zekrom. If you're my opponent, what do you do here? Spore into Comfy and just Wormwind into this thing? Amoonguss has really been the bane of my existence. Or you just Rage Powder Wormwind. I kind of want to go out into Clef and Protect. But, I mean, this is where Incin would have helped, right? If I had Incin. I would have needed to lead Incineroar, though. So, that's the mark of a well-constructed team, right? I couldn't freely lead Incineroar into this matchup because my opponent had Kyogre Tornadus, so it's like leading Incin into that is, you know, normally a recipe for disaster. And so I think both of the games today, my opponents have definitely led better than I have, and that's been rough. Maybe I should have Dynamax here just to see who's faster. Because I think if they're max speed Zolt, just, yeah, with the amount of speed investment we have, I'm not 100% sure we survive. Now, the thing with bringing out Amoonguss is you either want to Rage Powder or you don't want to max Lightning with Zolt because you don't want to set up Electric Terrain to cancel out your own Spores. Ideally, they Rage Powder Wormwind into Zekrom. That'd be the very best case scenario. That also works. Okay, I'm happy to see that. Is it Wormwind into Zekrom? Okay, I'll take that. I will definitely take that. I mean, it's a lot of damage, but it just activated our weakness policy. Okay. I don't know, though. It is really questionable to... Well, we do have Urshifu. I don't even know how good Urshifu is in this endgame, though. Their Life Orb Zolt. Yep, it's probably Hustle. Now I'm worried about Sash Amoonguss. Because obviously I could follow me, Dynamax, and Wormwind into Amoonguss. It's probably our best play. Part of me wants to protect, though, because I don't think you're ever going to Wormwind into Zekrom when I pressure with Follow Me. So Protect, Max, Wormwind. Do they have a switch into Wormwind? No. They actually have 0 Dragon Resist or Immunes. Okay, I like that. Turn 1 worked out okay for us. And the Clef switch ended up working out really, really well as well. But I don't know. I definitely got outled both of these games. And once again, you can always come back from a bad lead matchup if you find a good play. But it makes the game harder, right? Ideally, you have a really safe play that lets you just get ahead in the game. And you can often do that when you have a better lead matchup than your opponent. But that wasn't the case in this game. I mean, if my opponent Wormwinded into Zekrom, not respecting the follow me option, kudos to them. Because that's a really, really big brain play. So I suspect Rage Powder from Amoonguss. Maybe you just Spore though? Yeah, that's fine. And I'm hoping it's Lightning into the... Ooh, Airstream. Okay. Well, that works for me. That totally works for me. I don't... Well, maybe it is a problem that you're faster. I don't know. The big question is, are you sashed on Amoonguss? I'm not 100% sure. Either way, we'll get the +2 max Wormwind off. This should KO if they're not sashed. And they're not sashed. Okay. Okay. So we get an attack drop onto the Dracozolt, which is really good, to be honest, because that thing is just such an offensive tank. The Clef support here is actually really valuable. I'm glad we get to bring Clef out a little bit, because we didn't really bring it out much in the previous games. So let's see. They're going to bring in Kyogre. Kyogre doesn't really scare me, though, does it? I feel like I can just go for a follow me here. Let's play it safe. And just Lightning into Kyogre. Okay, that works for me. Maybe Kyogre protects. No, it doesn't. Okay. Because the thing is, now your Dracozolt's at -1 attack, and you're not Dynamax, so you have to risk missing with Hustle. Yeah, they go for Spout. Nice. Comfy hangs... Or sorry, not Comfy. Clef hangs on. That's huge. Yeah, and they Wormwinded. Okay, beautiful. So they were going all in there to try to KO the Clef, which makes a lot of sense, honestly. I think this wins us the game, because now you don't have enough offense. Battle of the Electric Dragons, though, which is kind of neat. So they were faster with Zolt in the end anyway. The Airstream was smart just to guarantee that you outspeed, because they don't know that we're not max speed with Zekrom. But the bulk on the Zekrom is honestly really, really critical. So, yeah. Let's see what their last one is. It's going to be a Lecky. Yeah, I don't think they can really... Well, they can still win. Never mind. But their Dynamax is over. And I think if we just preserve Friend Guard, we should win here, right? So if I protect... You're at -1 attack, and I have Friend Guard. I wouldn't think a Dragon Claw KOs. Wait, I can still definitely lose this game, though. I have to be very careful, don't I? If you're my opponent, you would definitely Electro Web Dragon Claw. I think I just protect here. Yeah, and go for the Quake into Zolt. I guess they could just double protect. Although if you double protect, my Comfy with Draining Kiss in this endgame is actually looking pretty good as well. And I also have Urshifu with Aqua Jet to finish things off, which is nice. Ooh, Thunder. Okay, I don't think Dragon Claw is enough to KO here, even if they hit, and they do hit. Okay, nice. Good. That's the beauty of Friend Guard at the end of the day. I mean, Clef was actually... This was all Clef supporting us as fully as possible, honestly. So, huge shoutouts to Clef in this one. As Zekrom just picks up 3 KOs in 3 turns, and that is what you want to do with this, right? If you can prevent yourself from getting one shot and also just pick up one KO every turn, like, you will just win the game most of the time. So, let's see. 4-on-1 now. Thunder on a Lecky is interesting, but it makes a lot of sense, obviously, because there's a Kyogre and it's a rain team in general. I think here we just go for a follow me. I mean, there's really no way Lecky ever wins this, but follow me plus Earth Power. There's no way you KO Zekrom with an Electro Web with Friend Guard. So, yeah. I mean, Zekrom, I think, typically has a really good matchup into a lot of Kyogre teams. You just have to play a little bit carefully, and in this match specifically... the main thing was that the Water Spout didn't one-shot Clefairy, so Clefairy's bulk there was really, really critical. Because if you one-shot there, then the Zolt would have Wormwinded into the Zekrom, and that actually might have been enough for a KO. Especially because I don't have Friend Guard support after that, so... Yeah, that actually would be a pretty big problem. But in the end, it ended up working out okay. I don't know if I should have been so confident in surviving a Water Spout there, though, because if we faint there, I feel like we might just lose, so kind of questionable. There's a Drampa here. I know Drampa actually got second in that Taiwanese regionals. You may remember we featured that Evoltal Reggie Steel team that won that regionals. I think Drampa got second to that in the finals, which is pretty neat. So, a lot of cool supportive Pokemon here. A lot of different colors as well, which is always cool to see. Okay, Urshifu's good in the end game, but Rillaboom's a problem. Man, no, somehow we didn't run into a single Groudon team in 7 games. I'm thinking Comfy Zekrom. Seems okay. Comfy Zekrom, Instant Urshifu. My problem, what I learned from that first game, is that Comfy Instant is way too passive. It's like so passive. Whereas at least with this, yeah, I don't know. Because in game 1, I was worried about the Landorus plus Zacian lead, but I didn't even think about the fact I could just protect Zekrom, switch in Instant on turn 1. The problem is that Zacian could sub, I suppose. So, yeah, we'll see. Umbreon and Drampa, definitely interesting components to their team. It's gonna be Zacian plus Umbreon. Okay. So like this is where Instant could have been decent, I guess. I really expect Zacian to sub in this position. This is just tricky, because like, assuming you have sub, I guess I could just one-shot Umbreon. Like, let's just Draining Kiss, Max, and Wormwind. Honestly, I'm kind of down for that. The only question is, do you have a safe switching into Wormwind? No. Since Zacian is out on the field, I have a guaranteed Wormwind into Umbreon. I guess my only fear is if this doesn't one-shot. These are both same base power, though, so it's definitely better to Wormwind to get the attack drop onto Zacian. Because if Zacian subs here... Ooh, they switch out. Is that Landorus? I mean, regardless, this is actually a really good turn, yeah. Once again, Zekrom baits the physical... Like, people think it's physical Zekrom, so that's huge. Okay, if we one-shot Umbreon, we are in very good shape, because the thing is, then I can just switch out the Comfy into Instant to get an Intimidate off both of my opponent's Pokemon, and then Zekrom should be able to just one-shot every non-Dynamax Pokemon. Even if Umbreon survives here, is that the end of the world? It would be a lot tougher. Because we really want to, like, with weakness policy setups, you really want to just pick up 3 KOs in 3 turns if you can. But this is a really good start regardless. Because I was worried about sub and, you know, not too many Zacians carry play rough these days, but it still definitely would be a really big counter to us. Okay, so we'll get the +2 max Wormwind. Oh, beautiful. That's a 1-hit KO. Okay, nice. Yeah, I don't know. If I went Insane Comfy, it's like, sure, I get an Intimidate off against Zacian, but what in the world do I do after that, right? And Umbreon, like, loves to thrive against bulky Pokemon, because it can just Snarl and Yawn and Disrupt for forever. So the reason I targeted Umbreon there was because I figured it's very rarely carrying Protect, and my opponent has no switch-out options there. Like, so since I assume you can't Protect it, I just get a KO there, and that's really good for us, right? Okay, so they bring out that Zacian. Landorus is already at -1 attack, so I like the idea of going out into Incineroar here. And I guess just Wormwind into Landorus. My only fear is, does like Behemoth Blade Max Quake KO? No, they'll be on -2, so I really wouldn't think so. Okay, I'm down to go into Incineroar and just Wormwind into Landorus. There's an argument to be made to try to one-shot Zacian here, but Zacian could Protect in this scenario. So it's either Wormwind into Landorus or Lightning into Zacian. I think I like Wormwind a little bit more into Landorus. Yeah. Especially if it's Assault Vest or Life Orb. So this is why having Instant in the back can be really critical if you're going up against like these physical-oriented teams. Yeah. They probably max Lando here, right? So that's good, because we get so much damage under your Maxmon, and then I already Intimidate you, and I have Surging Strikes with Urshifu in the back. One thing I didn't even think about is the fact that because it's Water Urshifu, you actually can't really one-shot with Zacian unless you have Play Rough. So I think Play Rough Zacian would counter this team a lot harder, because you just get that super effective damage into Zekrom and Urshifu, and that's a really big deal. But fortunately for us, thus far, opponents haven't really run Play Rough. Okay, they just ended up going for Behemoth Blade, so could have just one-shot the Zacian there, but I still don't regret Worm Winding in this position. Yeah, we should survive a Max Quake here. I don't know, though. If I just Lightning there, we probably just would have won the game, but I feel like Zacian can definitely sub or protect in that scenario. So, felt worthwhile to cover for that option. Okay, the other question now is... Oh, actually, you do get a special defense boost, so regardless of your item here, yeah, you'll probably survive my Wormwind now. I should have thought about that a little bit more. Okay, still does a lot of damage, though, so I can't complain. Question is whether or not you you KO us with Max Quake at this point. -3. I don't know if it's enough. If I'm my opponent, what am I doing? Protect Zacian, Max Quake, or switch out Zacian, to be honest? Switching out Zacian actually makes a lot of sense. I kind of expect Rillaboom in the back. So I kind of want to just Flare Blitz Zacian here to cover for a switch out. And I'll Wormwind in case we survive onto Landorus. Okay, looks like they're protecting. Yeah, that makes sense. Because the thing is, I have Urshifu now, so I can just bring Urshifu and start Surging Strikes. Oh, they actually double protected. Huh. Oh, that's kind of frustrating because I actually could have gotten free damage off onto the Zacian slot. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense because, yeah, now you can definitely guarantee a KO. But they don't know that I'm Shuka Berry, which is actually a really big deal here. So, for that reason, I think I'm just going to Blitz. And actually switch out into Comfy, I think. Well, is there any upside in conserving the Zekrom? It's not really that useful in this late game anyway. Well, it helps against Drampa, if their last one's Drampa, actually. Okay, you know, I'm actually... Well, no, the problem here is that they doubled up onto the Incin, right? So, I think it's still better to just Flare Blitz and go for a Earth Power onto Zacian. But that was a good double protect last turn. They did have sub this whole time. That's why I didn't want to Max Lightning that into that slot the first time around. However, I think this... Oh, I don't think Earth Power KOs, but because we have Shuka Berry, I think we're actually in really good shape now. Because Flare Blitz will... Oh. No, never mind. Yeah, Earth Power breaks the sub, and then Flare Blitz, I think, just KOs Zacian, unless you're really bulky. So let's see. Nice. Intimidates have been huge for us in this game. This should break the sub, right? There's no way it doesn't. We're at +2, so it just negates their +2 Spadef. Nice. Yeah, Shuka Berry was huge here. And once again, it's good team construction, right? Because Landorus-T is otherwise a really big threat to this team. Nice, and Flare Blitz gets that KO. Yeah, that was a crit, but I don't think it mattered unless you have like a ton of HP investment. Because against 4 HP Zacian and no investment, you do like minimum, what, like 82 to 98 or something like that? That's the range. So, yeah, let's see what the last one is. It is Rillaboom, so this is actually still scary, but I guess the upside is that we have Comfy in the back. So I think I can just protect... Actually, we're good. Because with Comfy, I think we just protect Parting Shot, which is a guaranteed way to go into Comfy, and then just go for side healing. Yeah. And your Earthquakes also do less damage right now, and we heal more. Yeah, +3 Spadef. So we go for Parting Shot here. I don't mind targeting Rillaboom. Yeah. We just need to get Comfy in safely. But they shouldn't give up yet. They can definitely still pull off a comeback, especially with Rock Slide flinches and Grassy Glide like crits. But I think by switching out, because they brought Rillaboom, we just get so much self-healing off, which is great. Oh, I guess actually this is the one way you can win. If you flinch instant, I don't faint, and then I don't get the free switching into Comfy. Oh no, that actually could be a problem. Although Landorus might just faint before they get to do anything. Okay, never mind. They KO instant. Good. The reason why you never want to switch out there is because you risk yourself getting crit. So in that position, like Parting Shot's basically a guarantee to leave the field after this turn, right? So now we can go into Comfy. We can go for Draining Kiss. My opponent basically needs flinches at this point to win the game. They're also going to faint from Landorus. I think 2 more Life Orb ticks actually allows them to faint. I suppose we could just Draining Kiss to KO the Landorus, but I actually don't think... I think Floral Healing is just much more worth it here for us. So Floral Healing and then Draco into the Rillaboom. Yeah. Rillaboom is still definitely a threat though, right? If you look at it, Zekrom's really low, Comfy doesn't do much against Rillaboom, and then we also... I wouldn't be surprised if it were Assault Vested in this scenario too. Actually, was it worth it to switch out Incin just for an Intimidate and Fake Out? To be honest, it might have been. I feel like I should have played towards the Incin endgame more, because I could miss Draco right now and get flinched like infinitely. Or not infinitely, but... okay, they just glide into Comfy. We should survive Rock Slide, so I think we're good. They actually end up, okay, hitting both. But yeah, that barely does anything. Now I can just Draining Kiss the Landorus next turn to make sure you can't flinch my Zekrom. I think we're fine anyway, but let's say we flinched or we missed here. Was the game going to get significantly uglier? I'm not sure. Don't know if they were AV in the end. I mean, we picked up the one-shot, but I wouldn't think we one-shot if they were Assault Vested. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. Okay. Now we can just obviously Draining Kiss. I mean, the main thing here is we were able to just... Like, we had a really good turn one. And that's the thing. With Zekrom, with the special Zekrom set rather than physical, you can just catch so many opponents off guard. And one turn is all it takes to snowball with a strategy like this with Weakness Policy added to the mix as well. So, yeah. That was pretty good. I'll play one more game here. I played a bunch of games in between yesterday's episode and today's because, yeah, after reading through and realizing like how many mistakes I was making with the Draining Kiss stuff, I was getting a little frustrated at myself. So I wanted to make sure, because I didn't get to get any practice games in before recording yesterday's episode. So that's why sometimes, you know, after I get some games in, normally I understand the mechanics of a new team a little bit better. But it was really silly of me to miss the Draining Kiss stuff and just the priority in general from Comfy. So yeah, a little bit better today, but we haven't gone up against that much Fake Out. A lot of Amoonguss, I guess, but against the Amoonguss setups, like I don't think we've been in a scenario where we just had Comfy Zekrom against an Amoonguss before Policy activated where they could have threatened Rage Powder. That actually might have happened in the first game. I forgot when we got the Policy boost off. Either way, let's just look for our last game with this team. What else to say, really? I mean... The Intimidates are just so good. I think, actually, I want to talk about the Umbreon from that last game. Because if I had led Incin plus Comfy, which is what I did in that first game, which really didn't end up working out well for us, we're just trapped in a really awkward spot. Oh, no. I think Xerneas is actually considered like a near auto loss for this team. Because there's no Fairy resist to immunes. So if my opponent just goes Amoonguss plus Xerneas, I think we're doomed. Yeah, because we don't have physical damage. In the team report, actually, the team creator was like, if you see Amoonguss and Xerneas or NDD plus Xerneas, just run. I'm still going to try my best, though, but I have to really figure out a game plan right now. So, assuming they go Rage Powder Geomancy turn 1, what's our best bet? I think Sing Clefairy is our only hope. Well, I suppose we could lead Incineroar, because then at least we have Fake Out. Ooh, Incin Urshifu for Fake Out Surging Strikes, then Flare Blitz Strike. Max Incin. I mean, this is very convoluted, but this is a really terrible matchup, so we'll do our best. But you know what, I don't mind. I feel like we've been very lucky to run into primarily good matchups throughout our course with this team, so... You know, so to finally run into, like, Xerneas is really obscure. You're not going to run into more than, like, it feels like at most 10% of your matches. So as a result, I think, like, sometimes that's just a matchup trade-off that you're willing to take. Looks like a Amoonguss insert. Okay. So the idea behind this is I can just Fake Out Surging Strikes. Never mind, it's not even that good of an idea. Unless... do you Rage Powder? Rage Powder Geomancy, Protect Geomancy. What would I do here from my opponent? Would you really... Like, you don't want to Protect here. You don't want to Protect because Surging Strikes KOs through Protect. If you just Rage Powder, I could just Fake Out Xern. Amoonguss, you could Spore Protect. Spore and Protect. Now I could Snarl and Surging Strikes. Would you really Spore here? Oh gosh, this is so tough. I don't think this was my best play. I just went Fake Out Amoonguss, Surging Strikes into Xerneas. I think... Oh. Watch it be Life Orb Xerneas. That'd be awesome. Okay, all things considered, it gives us a fighting chance. Because they didn't Geomancy at least. Dynamax Instant is not out of the realm of possibility in this one. Yeah, and I think they were Sporing, so honestly, I like can't complain too much because at least we're... Oh no, they went for Rage Powder, okay. Yeah, that's not going to do that much damage though. Yeah, this is so tough. That was a good fake, sorry, a good Dynamax on Xerneas though, because they were obviously trying to bypass a Fake Out until that song. They realized, hey, my opponent's team has no Fairy Resist. Why don't I just Starfall everything? The good thing for Starfalling there is though they just set up the terrain, so you can't Spore me right now. I still don't know really what to do though. Let's see, I have Zekrom, our good old pal. So like, it's just so tough because Misty Train is also up, so like what in the world do I do? Zekrom protecting here is so obvious. I can see my opponent just going for like a Starfall into Incin. Man, they just have so many strong Pokemon in the back too. I also love that the Xerneas Dynamax is so big, I can't even see what's above it. Am I crazy in wanting to Dynamax Incineroar here? A little bit. I don't know. I really think this might be the move. Flare Amoonguss, switch Zekrom out into Clef. This covers every base. I'm gonna go for it, because like, if I set up the Sun, Max Flare into Xerneas, the turn that Dynamax is over on their end, and we have one turn of Dynamax, does a lot, and then Flare Blitz should just KO. I don't know, like, I definitely could have played towards Zekrom as well, but I didn't see the best play for Zekrom this turn, especially because Misty Terrain is also up. So, you really don't want a Dynamax Instant, but in this position, it's actually pretty safe, because I have Friend Guard support for it. I think my Clef should take an attack from the Xern. It's just that Amoonguss could so easily protect here. Okay, they went for Rage Powder though, that's what I want to see. If we win this, that would be amazing, because it goes to show you can win any matchup even if it looks terrible. Let's see who they Starfalled. It did go into Zekrom. I don't know, I also could have just protected Zekrom, or even maxed it. Oh gosh, that doesn't even one shot. Okay, that's not good. That's definitely not good. I needed the one-hit KO there, I think, to stand a chance. So maybe it was to just max Zekrom. Like, I could have gone into Clef and protect Zekrom, the weakness policy activates, and then I can just go for Rage Powder and max Wormwind, so... It was probably to play towards Zekrom instead of Incin, given that we couldn't one-shot there. That's a bummer. We do have Max Strike to drop their speed. Ooh, actually, I think that's really important with Zekrom in the back. So I could Helping Hand and Strike. That guarantees the KO into Amoonguss. Yeah, they switch out though. Probably into Incin. Into Rotom. This is doable. This is still doable. Max Steel Spike Xerneas. Wait, what Steel type attack does that even get? Flash Cannon? Hey, that's the first time I've seen that. Wow. That was a crit. That was definitely a crit. Okay, I mean, we take those. Now what? I've got one more turn of Dynamax with... Yeah, it's just if we one-shot Amoonguss, I actually don't think we'd be in terrible shape, because I also could have just protected Clef instead of sacrificing it for nothing. Well, not nothing, but... So I outspeed the Xerneas now, but I don't think a Rising Bolt is just KOing anyway. So I lean towards just going for a... Oh, I could max Darkness. Wait, do we outspeed Xern if they're at -2? I would think so, right? 90, 180. Yeah, we should. Okay, I'm actually down to max strike again into Xerneas because I need a Flare Blitz into that slot. But it does so little damage. But Xern could protect here. I don't think Flare's KOing with that defense boost, that's for sure. You know what? I'm going to Flare and then try to KO with Rising Voltage, but the thing is Rotom can go into Amoonguss right now. Okay, they don't make the switch though, which is good. Question is whether or not Xerneas protects here. Probably does. Oh! Just when I thought it couldn't have been any harder. Okay, the good thing though is we already outspeed Xerneas. So I didn't need to go for a strike there. Oh, no! Oh, the world is cruel. Okay, well played, well played. You know what? In the end, this was actually definitely winnable, though. Like, imagine if I actually, like, knew they had Ally Switch or read into Ally Switch. Oh, I didn't even think about that as a possibility, but yeah, it's so hard to read into. That Geomancy will seal things up. As soon as I saw the Steel type attack, I was like, maybe they're not Geomancy, but they're not Life Orbed either, so it doesn't make sense for it to be any other item. That was really well played. But all things considered, we gave it a good fight, so I can't complain. Okay, I can go for a double crit Flare Blitz into Xern. That's my move. I wonder what this Fairy type attack is. Maybe they're not running Protect. You could run double Fairy, Steel type, Geomancy. So that's my question. Cheeky Ally Switch. No, that's like the best position Ally Switch though, so I can't fault my opponent for that. I guess, I don't know, maybe I should have just switched Instant into Clef, Protect Zekrom, let my opponent activate that policy through Protect, and then go from there. I also really didn't expect Steel Spike, so it's the combination of Steel Spike. Was that a crit? Do we actually get the crit? That's hilarious! We actually could have won if Zekrom got the double Protect off there. That's just insult to injury. Probably not, actually, to be honest, because we take so much recoil that even if we get the KO, Zekrom can't 3v1 in that position with Misty Terrain being up. But, you know what? Like, I think, like, this is why you should never give up, even in a bad matchup, because to be honest, that was actually totally winnable. Turn 1 was fine. I think if I were to replay this, I would just try to play towards Dynamaxing Zekrom, let my opponent activate Weakness Policy, and then go from there. Still tricky, but the main problem is Max Flare not one-shotting Amoonguss. That was bad, although I guess Amoonguss didn't even come back out. And then it was mainly the Ally Switch. I didn't even, because like they didn't Geomancy in the beginning, which was very smart, because if they did Geomancy, you know, you put yourself at risk of just getting KO'd, or like Fake Out Surging Strikes, Flare Blitz Surging Strikes. So it was really smart not to Geomancy initially. And then I didn't consider Ally Switch on Rotom. That kind of just came from the left field. But to be honest, a lot of Rotoms do like running Ally Switch. Although with Rotom Heat these days, I feel like Nasty Plot's more the norm. So yeah. Either way, though, that was a really fun set of games, so I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to the original creator. Check him out, linked in the description below. Once again, guys, thank you to Into the AM for sponsoring today's video as well. Please go check them out. Once again, intotheam.com/CybertronVGC. They have this really cool graphic tee bundle that they're currently running a promo on. 3 for $60, and then you can get 10% off that additional, or on top. So, yeah. So, thanks always for the support, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.